Today, it's making an ingot from all this beautiful scrap. There's a red subscribe button. Make sure you guys hit that. You like it, you share. Check out the video on a giveaway, because right now, giving away a green line saw frame, a saw blade organizer, and some lube, some Burr Life for your tape, for your saw. Your saw needs lube too. Alright, so I'm going to move my crucible out of the way. What we have here is an ingot mold. This particular ingot mold allows you to pour two different types of ingots. This area allows you to pour different diameter wire ingots, and that's what we're going to do today. The other side allows you to do sheet. And I haven't decided if I want to do sheet or wire. I thought I had my mind made up, but maybe I didn't. I think we should do sheet today. So, change my mind. We're doing some sheet, and what I can do here, we're doing some sheet. All right, what I'm doing here is adjusting this ingot mold for the size of the ingot that I want, and I'm going to decide on that. And what we're going to do is take this on our ingot mold, our clamp. We're gonna clamp it together. So once I get the torch fired up, it's going to be kind of loud, and I'll probably turn my audio off and end up voicing over. But what you're going to see me do is take my torch and not only heat the crucible and the metal, but you'll see me direct the torch toward the ingot mold. And the idea behind that is that I do not want to shock that metal, that molten metal pouring into here. I don't want to shock it, because I want it to be able to flow all the way to the bottom of the ingot mold and start forming my ingot. At the same time, I'm going to make sure I keep my heat uniform on my crucible. And the idea behind that is that I have nice even temperatures, and sometimes I will even rest my crucible on top of my ingot mold so that there's some heat transfer from what I'm doing. Now, you'll see in the video, and I'll probably voice it over, that I'm going to start heating up the metal. I'm going to add in some white powder, which is just borax, Mule Team borax from the store, stuff you can buy in the cleaning aisle. And then I'm going to be continually melting that. When my metal moves around like mercury, just kind of moves around, I don't see any protrusions of unmelted stuff in the middle of that little balled up piece of metal, I'm going to start getting ready for my pour. And what I mean by that is I'm going to again direct a lot of my heat toward my ingot mold, but at the same time I'm going to be tipping it onto, or tipping my crucible onto the ingot mold, so that the heat that I'm providing the ingot mold and the crucible are starting to bring things up to a similar temperature. And by resting the crucible on the edge of the ingot mold, it allows me to give a uniform pour. Now, one of the things that I like to say is perfect practice makes perfect, because if you practice things the wrong way, you're going to be practicing things the wrong way. So perfect practice. Practice it perfect, and then you can go. So what I'll do is some dry runs of what it feels like for me to dump my ingot, or pour my crucible into my ingot mold, and I'll get used to that. Now, I don't necessarily like that, because now I'm having to pour with my left hand, and I am right-handed. So since I didn't like the feel of that, now it allows me to, while everything is nice and cool, do my dry runs with things in my, without having to worry about fire or hot metal, and practice doing that. So for me, pouring right-handed is easier, and holding the torch in my left hand works best for me. But that's where the perfect practice comes in. Make sure that before you're doing this, you get some dry runs in. And why not? It may look dumb, but the more you practice this stuff, the better you get at it. And you might as well practice it in a way that is perfect. Because if you're practicing wrong, you're practicing bad. Gonna add some borax. Add a little bit more borax now. I'm not measuring it, I'm just taking like a couple pinches, tiny handful. And what that's going to do is help purify the metal, take all the impurities away from it, trap it in the borax, and also lower the melting temperature of the silver. Here we have a molten blob, but there's some sharp looking pieces sticking up out of it. It does not look like a nice piece of uniform mercury floating around. That means that there's unmelted pieces of silver still in that lob. So at this point I'd add a little bit more borax. You see when I pull the torch away, you may be able to see it. Has some impurities resting up on the surface. And what I'm going to do is borax is going to help pull those away. Get that borax all melted in. Not quite molten yet. It does move around nice, but it's not exactly like I'd want it to be. Those little chunks on top, I want those to go away. So I'm just going to keep on heating, keeping a nice uniform heat, and eventually you'll see them disappear. You still see has some chunks in there. Now it's starting to look a little bit more uniform. I take the torch away and put it back. You'll see a little surface scale show up. And some of those can be impurities. But what I'm going to do is keep it heating it to about when I think it's going to be a nice uniform temperature. I'm going to switch hands here because I remember I wanted to pull with my right hand and hold the torch with my left. It wasn't necessarily a uniform pour because I have a void here and a void here. But the cool thing is I can saw this off, remelt it later on, saw this portion off, and then I can roll this and I can roll this. So we're good. I'm going to throw this in the pickle and we'll come back when we have it all pickled. Remember, in case you don't already know, you should probably have a perfectly placed pickle pot near your soldering station, which I do. So remember, perfectly placed pickle pot. We turned scrap like this into an ingot like this. And in the next episode, turn this ingot into usable sheet for your jewelry. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time on Rolling Some Sheet.